So today I want to look at the shadowy light behind the word ignore or the behavior of ignoring somebody. Now I realize, well, why I'm doing this kind of a response to a situation that is happening or happened in my own life, and also in somebody else's life. And I realize that some of the things that I say I may not have full clarity of this issue because it's very personal to me and it's kind of a pet peeve. But I think the the idea or the behavior of ignoring another person should be a pet peeve of everyone because ultimately all of us incarnated became souls because God source wanted a reflection, wanted to interact with somebody else, to, you know what I mean, to have a reflection and a communication relationship with another. And to me personally, being ignored is like the sharpest human pain. I don't know. It's such a jab, man. If you want to hurt somebody, ignore them, particularly when when they don't really know a relationship has ended or that you don't like them or something. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about situations where there's an abusive person and you need to block somebody and ignore them. None of that. I'm just talking about, common communication between people. Say you have a friend or an acquaintance or somebody that contacts you, like people contact me here or on Facebook, they ask me questions. Like I've helped people, like they have questions and they want a little help. And I go out of my way to do all this work for them and I send it to them. And a week or two goes by and I hear nothing. And I go, hey, did you get my stuff? And nothing. And that kind of shit really just, oh, but also just in general communications. You have an acquaintance or someone you think is a friend or and they don't respond. Like maybe they start off responding, or like someone you're dating or something, or trying to get to know and send a message. And clearly nowadays technology, come on, you cannot use the excuse, oh, I never saw it, or I'm so busy. Don't give me that shite. Everybody's on their phone. It takes a millisecond to click happy face, thumbs up, you know, respond to you later, super busy. That's all it takes to let someone know, yeah, I heard you. Anyway, I'm all over the place on this. um, anyway, I think if you're dealing with this kind of situation where you think you have a friendship or some open line of communication and someone is not even acknowledging that they've received your message, and I'm not talking, to me 3 days of not responding is kind of like when I start going, man, something ain't right. Longer than 3 days, because I realize some people are busy, but like you can't get away with people not knowing you've been online, and people are online all the time. So don't give me that you didn't see it. I just think it's actually passive aggressive behavior. I mean, that's not my opinion. There's a whole article, and I may place it down there. It's called The Silent Treatment. And if you're in a situation like that, I want you to at least glance over this article, because I don't want you to think something's wrong with you. Like, oh, is there something wrong with me? Did they not get the message? And you're feeling like your esteem is going down. You're questioning yourself. What did you do? And it may not be the silent treatment, but it may be someone who's a slow responder, who responds like, oh, just a thumbs up or a one-word response. And it's not a communication. It's not a caring relationship. Then you need to look at yourself. You need to look at this relationship and see, is it truly nourishing for you? If it's not, I'm saying, get the fuck out. Excuse my language. I'm a little fired up about it. And perhaps I'm not making sense. But I think you need to know that. So glance over the article if you're experiencing this, or if you do this to others, it's not appropriate. I mean, this is not kind behavior. And I'm going to tell you, spiritual people, if you are doing this, like, oh, and you're using the guise of, oh, I'm just, watching my boundaries, energetically trying to stay offline, all this sort of stuff. Taking a vow of silence, and someone's communicated with you and you don't respond. I'm sorry, get out of your fucking ivory tower, because it's a shadow tower, and the ego in you is using it as an excuse not to interact, because your spiritual growth comes from relationships and you cannot hide. So don't allow others to use that excuse as an excuse, that spiritual bypassing. And it's just plain rude. Okay, done with that. Now let's look at the energetics. I'm all into now. I'm looking at every word, and it is freaking amazing to me how the Hebrew, I'm using Hebrew numbers and I'm running the numbers of these particular words, how they match perfectly to the behavior of the word. Okay, let's see. Guess I got to share screen. And where are we? Here we are. Ignore. So here are the energetics of ignore. And the foundation of this energy, and obviously this is all shadow behavior, but the number 16 in its positive aspect it's called the I in Hebrew, and it's the ability to see and interact with others through the eyes of God, right? And it's all about connecting with everybody on a very easy way, from dignitaries down to the average. You're just a kind, inclusive person, and you see everybody as yourself, okay? And you're very magnetic, and people are drawn to you, etc., etc. Yeah, and you bring people together. So in the opposite, it is obviously the inability to see others through the eyes of God. And it's a pushing away of others. And in the shadow behavior, this number in the soul contract system means that people acting in the shadow have a tendency not to kind of tell the truth about just who they are and what's going on, particularly about their spiritual standing. And they take on this role of kind of like the rebel, the rule breaker, kind of rejecting the norms of society and rejecting even the norms and manners of society, and maybe attributing their behavior to spiritual ways, or like, yeah, I'm finding myself. I mean, this is so perfect for this behavior. And, this disconnects them from humanity. They think they're trying to find themselves so they can be a better human, but this behavior is disconnecting them from just being human and relating with people on a very kind, loving way. It's the act of not seeing another. Oh, what a terrible insult you're doing, and not only to yourself but to others. And then, of course, the abilities, or I guess what happens. So the 5 in its positive is about speaking your truth, taking action, and really being connected to the highest etheric creative ideas. But in the reverse, obviously, you're not acting and being truthful, particularly with yourself. And you kind of, you're in this kind of fear place of like, I don't know what's real. I mean, you think you know what's real, but it's not. And this is a projection. When people have karmic 5s, it's a projection of manipulation. Well, you can project manipulation and abuse onto others, but you can also you're attracting that because your whole energy is off. It's not truthful. And overall, the karmic five or the shadowy five is extremely overly sensitive. And this is where people are like, yeah, I have to hide from the world and the environment. But to be honest, like, I really thought I was oversensitive, but you know what it is? It's the ego and not being grounded in your body that's overly sensitive. The more I have awakened, the more I have become embodied and dealt with all my shit. I can be in any situation now and nothing really bothers me. Sure, there is you can have a, you can you can be in situations for longer and you can get tired. Certainly that happens, but this oversensitivity and like, oh, I can't be around people, this is an excuse. um and it just comes from the inability to be in your body, stable and grounded, and be connected with your inner self. And people will feel this heavy, stressed out aura. And ultimately, while it says success in there, the outcome of this is the number 19. And the 19 in the positive is all about successfully holding space for spirit in your body, being in your body, breathing appropriately, having spirit in your body at all times, meaning presence. You're very present with yourself. You have a healthy nervous system, and the brain and the spinal column have a very good connection. You're grounded, you're centered, you're connected to spirit. But the outcome of being the behavior of ignoring means, well, you're going to have severe self-judgment. There's no holding of true spirit in your body because the brain and the spinal column are disconnected. And I'm sure your nervous system becomes overly sensitive, right? Because there's just too much going on and there's no holding space for spirit. Okay. I realize that might be a little fiery from me, but this is something that obviously, if it's like a pet peeve for me and something that I have experienced early in life, I'm going to be a little sensitive to it. But I think just on a human level, this behavior, and I think this behavior has to stop. And I think it kind of is running rampant nowadays because we're all so technologically connected, message here, message there, blah, blah, blah. And you don't know how, excuse me. And if you don't want to be in a relationship or in a chat or a group, then get out of it. Stand up for yourself, and get out of it. But do not leave people hanging, particularly when they're sincerely communicating with you. Look, the universe doesn't agree with that. And it hurts everybody. It hurts the collective because another person is hurting and not feeling recognized or noticed. That affects everybody. So just don't do it. Okay. Be kind. Okay. Bye.